Hello, guys, and welcome back to Smiles Tech. So, I saw this picture online and I thought to myself, this would really be a good project to practice layout design, and it's going to give you a foundation of what a conventional website should look like. As you can see, you've got the headers, the navs, articles, and every other thing. It's not well outlined now, but hopefully, I will be doing another video after this one to add images, texts, and just develop this layout and make it look very beautiful. So be sure to subscribe for that. So let's head on over to Spec Code Editor and see how to replicate this exact design. So right now in Spec Editor, obviously, we're gonna create a template. We'll call it layout design practice. And as usual, we have HTML, CSS, and JavaScript files. And the first thing I'm going to do is to import the image that we just saw into this folder, into this project, so that we will be seeing it or be viewing it just as we are replicating it. So it's going to make the work a lot more easier. So I'm going to click on the options icon on the layout design practice folder. Then I'm going to click on import files, and then I will find the image and import it. And there we have it. Now I can head on over to index.html and develop the skeleton for this project. Alright, right now if you're wondering what's going on, I'm using the code for less than and greater than symbols in order to import them as text into our HTML file. So I couldn't just type out the conventional less than symbol, because what I want to achieve is exactly what we have here: less than body greater than symbol. So in order to do that, I have to use the code, and this is what we're having, just like that. Alright, so I just finished developing the HTML skeleton, and I'm gonna explain what I did. So on the first element inside the body, you've got the body text, which is obviously what we're having. And the first paragraph, you've got the body text. Next, you've got the headers, and inside of the header, you've got a text of a header. And then after that, we're having some navs, and inside of that nav, you have some unordered lists, and there's nothing inside of those unordered lists. And then just after that, you've got the articles and the aside, which are both enclosed inside of one particular div. And I gave the div a class of article aside. And inside of the articles, you've got the article text and three sections bearing sections inside of them. And then after the articles, you've got the aside, which has two divs inside of it. And then finally, you've got the footer. Now this is exactly what is obtainable in this image right here, in this PNG image that we've got. Just at the top we've got the body, after the body we've got the headers, and then we've got the nerves, which has four unordered lists inside of it and has nothing inside of it. And then after the nerves we've got the articles, which has three sections in it, and then an aside, just that it is by the side and it has two divs, two empty divs, and then finally you've got the footer. Now what we're having now may not necessarily look just like we have in the image, because that's where CSS comes in. So we'll start styling the design right now. One of the first things I do when I'm styling the design is to remove every browser default settings, and that's by giving a padding of 0, a margin of 0, and a border box of 0. So there we have it, a padding of 0, margin of 0, and a box sizing with a value of border box. Now we're going to be giving some styles, some initial styles to the text. I'd like to set the text size to 25 pixels. I'd like to set a font weight. And then a font family. So currently it's not as bold as we're having it, so we need to, let's change this. Now styling the first element, which is the div that is just after the body. So giving it a 20 pixels of bottom and top value, and then a 10 pixels of left and right spacing. So it's gonna have space inside of the div, 20 pixels top and bottom, and then 10 pixels left and right. That's what we're having right now. Style the header. Before we do that, let's take a look at the image we're having here. Now if you notice, you'd see that the header, the nav, and the footer has some similarities. For this reason, we can style them at once. So what I'm going to do is that I'm gonna select the header, the nav, and the footer all at once and give them some styling. Right, so I give these three elements a padding just as same as the text for the body, bottom margin of 10 pixels, and then a background color. Now this color may not necessarily be equivalent to what we're having in the image design, but the idea is to replicate the design. We may not just be so perfect in getting all the details right. So as you can see, we're having this now. Now one thing I'd like to do is to add some margin to the body. Let's say 15 pixels. It's kind of looking like what we need. So I'm just gonna leave it at that. So right now, obviously the next section to style is the nav area. That's what we're gonna be doing. We're going to be using some flex boxes to style this place. If you know, if you noticed, we had some elements inside of the nav. So inside of the nav, we've got a nested another list which has some list items, up to 4 list items inside of it. So we're going to be using a flex box on the nav element and a flex box on the UI element. Let's do that. So what this just did is that it cut the nav text and then the another list and made it into a flex box and then aligned the items to the center. I'm going to do the same thing for the unordered list. Let's just see what we're having. All right, I think we're getting there. As you can see, the 4 dots. Now I'm gonna remove these dots, this browser default settings, with a style on the honored list. The style is list style. I'm gonna set it to none. Another thing I'm gonna do is to give the list items the background color. I'm gonna make it a really light version of this color that we're having here. And let's view that again. We're having something like this. And finally, what I'm gonna do here is to separate the list item from the text. I'm gonna use a property or justify content. The value is going to be space between, just like that. And if we view that, we run that, okay, it has not yet affected. Let's see where there's a problem. All right, this justify content is meant to be on the nav, not on the list item, because we're trying to separate the text, which is this nav text, from the entire list item, and not the entire list, not just only the entire list item. So just only the text and then the list item. So I'm going to paste this code here instead. All right, so let's see that. And just like that, we're having this very nice, something. One other thing I'd like to do is to reduce the padding for the nav. If you notice from the image we have here, the nav has a really small height, unlike the header and the footer. So that's what we're going to be doing right now. So I'm going to change the padding, say padding, let's give it 5 pixels by 10 pixels. So 5 pixels top and bottom, 10 pixels left and right. See what that looks like. And as you can see, it's looking just like what we bargained for. I think with this we're done with the nav styling. Next is to move down to the aside and the articles. Now, if you remember from our index.html, we actually gave a class of article hyphen aside that contains both article and the aside element. So we're going to be targeting that. Now once this is done, what it will do is that both article and aside will be seen side by side, just like that. Although the footer element shouldn't be among them. Let's see where that is coming from. Alright, so I mistakenly included the footer element inside of the div containing the aside and the article, which is not meant to be. So I'm going to cut that out and place that where it is meant to be, outside of the div. Alright, now we're having what we're meant to have. So right now, if you notice, there's a bit of some little space by the left hand side of the aside, the article section, that does not make it to align with the rest of the page. So in order for us to sort that out, we're going to be changing the padding on that section. So we go down to the div containing the article and the aside, and then we change the padding. So we're going to be giving it a padding of 0 pixels on all sides, and then a margin bottom of 10 pixels. Now let's look at that, and then we're back to normal. Now let's also style the aside, the background color. I'm gonna assign it to the article element with a value of 2, and then I'm gonna assign it also to the aside element with a value of 1. Now you're gonna see the implication of this. What it is gonna imply is that the article element will have more width than that of the aside. The aside will take up lesser width. What it implies is that they're going to take up 100% of the width of the screen. Let's see how that looks. As you can see, it's already covering more percentage. So the article element is covering more of 75% of the spacing, while the aside is covering 25%. That's what we're having here. And one other thing I'm gonna do is to give margin space, margin right, 10 pixels right here, and then I'm gonna give the padding here. Now we're having what we're having. $250. Okay. Alright, now that we're here, we're going to start styling the sections inside of the article. And let's make this margin bottom, margin top instead, so we can have some space at the top. All right, so let me also remove this height property here. I think that's wonderful. Now I'd like to also add these settings to the div on their side, so I'm going to target that div by targeting it just with a comma. So I'm going to separate the two elements with a comma. So we're having article section, comma, aside div. So as you can see, the div is also having same properties. And with that, I think we've actually come to the end of this video. As you can see, we've actually quite replicated the layout design we're seeing. So it took us a few code up to 60 line code right here on CSS, and for the HTML we've got also around 60ish line. So that's it for this video. If you found this video helpful, this is the image that we replicated, and then this is the design that we got from our replication. Image, design, image, design. So if you found this video helpful, give me a thumbs up, subscribe to my channel, and be sure to stay subscribed, because I'll be dropping videos like this. I promise to work on this particular layout and get a really nice website design in the future. So stay subscribed, stay connected, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye bye.